time is limited, so I think we'll get started. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to AFSA. My name is Dolores Brown. I'm a retired Foreign Service Officer and retirement guidance counselor here. So I see many familiar faces, and I am happy to welcome you to AFSA today. Without a lot of further ado, I'd like to just flag for you. I don't want to take up much time from Arvella's presentation, but there was some significant retirement legislation that was passed recently called the Secure Act. And without going into a lot of detail about it, because we don't have time for that, there's some significant changes. It repeals, for instance, the maximum age for traditional IRA contributions. You could do past 70 and a half, the age of 70 and a half. Actually, in terms of estate planning, if you were thinking of rolling over when you are deceased, your TSP account to your surviving heirs, your children, if you did that in a certain way and they got an inherited IRA, their tax burden could be spread out over their projected lifetimes. But now with the Secure Act, they have to take all the money within 10 years. So that has significant tax implications. And I can tell you, when I talked to my financial advisor about it, she said, there's going to be a monkey wrench, and a lot of people have to look at their estate planning. So again, I don't want to go into a lot of detail. We probably will be having a program about it at some stage. It just passed, but it's important for you to Google it if you are near to retirement and have estate planning, and so, or have an estate plan that you thought a certain way about, and now this could possibly affect it. A few admin notices. Many of you have been here before, but the restrooms are to my left over here. And we normally have our presentations for about 45 minutes, and then we have time for questions and answers. We videotape these presentations so that people who can't be here can benefit from them. So what we like to do is to have the full presentation without questions, and then at the end we'll take questions, but we ask that people go there in that middle and speak into the middle microphone so that the people who are going to see this videotape will know what the question was and what the answer is. So I'd ask you to please do that. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Arvella Collins, who is on the staff of the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board. She was on that staff. She's been on that staff since September 2013. She is an expert TSP trainer and specialist in the Office of Communications at TSP. She also has a very fulsome background as a financial advisor. That was in her past life, and she is also a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. So I'm very pleased to have Arvella with us to talk to us about TSP, everything you need to know within 45 minutes. So I'm going to turn matters over to her. Thank you. Thanks.
Good, what time is it? Afternoon, everyone. How are you? Happy New Year to you as well. Again, my name is Arvella Collins, and I know you are either current Foreign Service officers or
Either active duty, we have both active
duty and retirees.
Retired, so we probably run the gamut.
Excellent. I just need you all to loosen up a little bit. Just a little bit. I can feel the stress up here. Okay? I'm no danger to anyone. How many of you are retired? Excellent. Excellent. My dream is to be where you are. How many of you are within 5 years of retirement? Excellent. 3 years? 2. 1. How many of you have overstayed your welcome? Should have been going a long time ago. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about TSP and pre-separation. This is normally a 2.5 hour presentation. It's a lot of information. I tried to scale it down considerably. I don't think I did a good job at that. So holding your questions until the end will allow me to get through this information a little bit quicker. If there is something about the slide that you have a question about, if I'm not explaining it clearly, please by all means ask. But other than that, hold your questions to the end. And I have braces, and they were just tightened on Monday, so there might be some issues going on around this area. Just ignore that, okay? All right, so as Mrs. Brown stated, I'm from the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board. We're a small independent agency. Our sole responsibility is the oversight and administration of the TSP plan. And we're located right here in Washington, D.C. I'm not going to tell you our address because we don't see participants. However, if you'd like to talk to someone, you can always give us a call. Our number is 877-968-3778. Every time you call that number, press the number 3. You're going to get a live person who can assist you with your questions. That number is also on, if you have a copy of the presentation, it's also on the second to the last slide of the presentation where it says it's going to be in the upper left-hand corner, I believe. So again, we're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Disclaimer, essentially what that says is I cannot give you any advice. I would love to, but I can't. I like this gig. So if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. You still cannot get any advice from the thrift line, but they may be able to give you the information that you need to answer your questions. I personally believe that TSP is a very simplistic plan, and so advice is completely up to you. However, since we're talking about separation, if you have more than one type of retirement account, let's say you have both TSP traditional and TSP Roth, you may want to speak with a trusted tax advisor so that you can spend down that money in a way that does not have a huge tax impact on you. Does that make sense? You can answer that. You just can't ask me anything. I ask you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I love it. Also, we don't endorse anyone. We don't endorse any other people outside of TSP. My role is as a TSP training and liaison specialist. I'm a federal employee, so we're not here to sell you anything. We're here to educate you. So there are people out there who will try to say we sent them out, and they may ask you for your personal information. They may try to sell you something. That's not us. That's not what we do. Okay? So let's talk. First part of the presentation is going to be about what you need to do to prepare yourselves for those of you who are active for retirement, and then what you're allowed to do once you separate from service. And this will include some of the changes that have come on board, not the Secure Act, but how many of you are familiar with the TSP Modernization Act of 2017? Yes, that's how many of you have heard that TSP changed how many ways you can get your money out? That's the TSP Modernization Act. And so we're going to talk about those new changes, okay? So let's get started. What's different about TSP? TSP is considered a defined contribution plan, and essentially what that means is the balance that you will have available to you when you separate from service is based on the contributions that you have put in and the contributions that have been put in on your behalf. So if you are eligible for the matching and the 1%, so that's also included in that defined contribution. All of the decisions that you've made, how to invest that money, how much to put in, how long you've been contributing, is going to be reflected in that ending balance, shall we say. Then you have the defined benefit plan. That's your pension. So you don't have any say-so or any input on your pension. You just need to meet certain requirements that fulfill that actuarial calculation, right? Years of service, high 3, etc. And that's a defined benefit that is managed and determined by your employer, our employer, as it were. So that's the difference between defined contribution, which is TSP, and defined benefit, which is your pension plan. So this is what you need to do to prepare for separation. Please be mindful that this year the maximum contribution limit is $19,500. That contribution limit includes all retirement plans, not all retirement plans, certain retirement plans, TSP, 401k, 403b. So, for example, if you are planning to leave, separate from service in the middle of the year, and you've already put $10,000 in your TSP, and you decide to work at George Washington, they have a 403b, which is a retirement plan for employees of nonprofit institutions like universities, churches, hospitals. That means that you are only permitted to put $9,500 in that 403b. Does that make sense? So be very mindful of how much you've contributed once you've separated from service. The only difference is the governmental 457B plan. If you decide to separate from service mid-year, and let's say you've put the entire $19,500 in by the time you leave, and you decide to go work for the state of Maryland, they have a 457B. That means you can put an additional $19,500 into that 457B for a total of $39,000 for that year. Okay, so these are the rules, and that includes catch-up, which is $6,500 for those turning age 50 or older. Catch-up contributions, again, for those people who are turning age 50 or older, you are permitted to contribute over and above the $19,500. All right? So let's say, for example, you're already on target to put in $19,500, and let's say you say to yourself, I wish I could put more money into my TSP. I am over 50. That's the amount that will go towards the catch-up. Does that make sense? If you are contributing less than $19,500 and you're over 50, you cannot contribute towards the catch-up. It has to be over and above the maximum contribution limit of $19,500. Does that make sense? You can begin contributing towards the catch-up the first pay period of the year, of this year, if you choose to do so. So let's say, for example, you're on a 26 pay schedule. To put in the entire $19,500 would be $750 a pay period. To put in the entire $6,500 would be $250 a pay period. So in order for you to max out on both the regular and the catch-up at age 50 or older, you cannot contribute more than $1,000 a pay period. Does that make sense? So as long as you can do $750 a pay period and you want to do more, that more goes towards the catch-up if you're age 50 or older. Okay? Sit with it, let it marinate, and then if you have any questions, I'll be glad to go over it further. All right? You will have to log into your pay system. What is their pay system? Employee Express. Employee Express. That's our pay system as well. So to make any changes, that's where you'll go for contributions. If you want to contribute towards the catch-up, you will have to log into Employee Express to do so. Okay? All right, anyone here uniformed services currently? Uniformed services, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, folks. Okay, excellent. That gave us some time. How about that? All right, let's take a look at this. All new and rehired employees are eligible or automatically enrolled at 3%, correct? And from this day forward, if you're not contributing, if you're wondering how much you should contribute, from this day forward, your minimum is always going to be 5%. It's not written anywhere, it's just my rule for you. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. You see I have purple brackets on my teeth. I'm supporting the Ravens. I digress. All right, so 3%. This is how the matching works. That's why you need to contribute 5%. Dollar for dollar on the first 3%, 50 cents on the dollar for the next 2%. So you need to put in 5% to ensure you get the full match of 4%. Make sense? Another way to put it rather, don't leave any free money on the table. So of course, if you're maxing out, you're going to get your full matching contributions. And 1% is automatic. 1% is simply given to you because you're so beautiful and we love you. That's what I'm going with. That's not how it's written in the law, but that's what I took from it. All you have to do is come to work every day. 1% is put into your TSP account for those of you who are still working. All right? So that's how it works. Starting this year, this is not in the presentation, but starting this year, by October this year, all newly hired and rehired employees, federal employees, will be automatically enrolled at 5%. So I have to come up with some new jokes about that. So there won't be any need for people to increase from 3 to 5. That's incorrect. People will still, who were previously enrolled at 3%, will still need to increase to 5, but all new people won't have to worry about that. Okay? All right, so let's talk about maximizing your matching contributions. This is very important because our studies have shown that people who are contributing towards their TSP account aren't always contributing in a way that will get them the entire matching contributions that they're eligible to receive. And so we're going to look at an example so that you can understand how it works. We have two participants, Ed and Susan. Ed and Susan have the same amount of pay, $3,000 a pay period. But they're contributing different. Ed's is contributing based upon a percentage. Susan is contributing based upon a dollar amount. Ed says, you know what? I think I can swing 30% of my base pay in order to contribute towards TSP. Susan says, I'm not really sure. I just want to put the max in by the end of the year. So she comes up with $750 a pay period. So the first 21 pay periods, they're pretty much on par with one another. Both are contributing more than 4%, right? So they're eligible for the full match. Both are contributing more than 5% rather. So they're both entitled to the full 4% match. So $900 a pay period for the first 21 pay periods is what 30% of base pay is for Ed. So that's going to give him $120 a pay period. Susan's $750 a pay period is about 25%. So again, that's above 5%, and that's going to give her the full match of 4%. So they're contributing differently, but they're getting the most out of their for their matching contributions. This is always what I would consider a cautionary tale of why you shouldn't compare your TSP with someone else's TSP. You don't know how they're contributing, where they're contributing, how long they've been contributing. I like to think of this as when you talk to someone about their TSP, it's like talking to them about social media, right? They're only going to tell you the good stuff, not the bad stuff or any challenges that they've faced while participating. So first 21 pay periods, Ed has put in $18,900 and received $2,520 in matching contributions. Susan has put in a total of $15,750 and also received a total of $2,520 in matching contributions. How much can Ed contribute to get to the max for the year? $600. So that's approximately 20% of his pay. So he still gets the full match of $120. And he's done for the year, right? He's met his maximum contribution limit of $19,500. Susan, however, she's got a long way to go, right? So she can continue putting $750 into her account for the rest of the year. So what we see here is that Ed maxed out at $19,500 over a 22 pay period time frame and received $2,640 in matching contributions. Susan went the entire year contributing $19,500 and received $3,120 in matching contributions, a total of, what is that, significantly more than what Ed put in, right? What is that, $380? $480, okay? So that is, can everybody see this screen if I back up a little bit? Is that good?
Yep.
All right, excellent. So $480 in matching contributions, that makes a big difference, correct? $480 of free money. So there's one of two reasons why Ed would have maxed out so quickly. First and foremost, his percentage is too high. So he needs to come down on his percentage a little bit. That will spread out his contributions over the year to get him the rest of his matching contributions. Make sense? The second reason he would have maxed out so quickly, he's retiring early. And he wants to be able to dump in the maximum amount before he separates from service. So that's something that you can do as well. My suggestion, we can't give advice, but my suggestion is if you are planning to max out, convert from a percentage to a dollar amount. Because if Ed gets a raise, say around 3% or so, that will cause him to max out even quicker, right? Because he's doing a percentage. So definitely convert to a dollar amount. In Susan's case, if she gets a raise, it's not going to affect her contributions because she's doing a fixed dollar amount. Make sense? Okay, so let's talk about how much you pay for TSP, to participate in TSP. I always get that answer, nothing. I have to be worth something. At least 40 cents. That's how much we pay to participate in TSP. 40 cents for every $1,000. When you compare that to an average 401k plan, we have a really good deal, right? And this is important for you to know because as you are approaching retirement, and some of the retirees here may be able to speak to this, you will be approached by multitude of people who want your TSP monies. And so you want to be sure that you understand how much you pay and what services you are receiving before you actually hop out of TSP. So here's an option for you. Most people will transfer their monies into TSP to take advantage of those low fees. There's two ways to do so. The first way is a direct transfer. It's the best way to get the money into the account. Because with this method, you're going from institution to institution. The money is not coming directly to you, and as such, there's no taxes, no penalties, or anything involved. Okay? So you'll need to contact your previous employer or previous financial institution that's holding those monies. They will have forms that you will need to complete to release those monies, and then you'll need to complete the form that TSP has to receive those monies. If it's for traditional monies, it's TSP 60. If it's for Roth, it's TSP 60R. Okay? Does that make sense? So it's going from institution to institution. Let's say the second option that you have. The second option is an indirect rollover. This process is a little bit more convoluted because there's a pit stop in that process. And the pit stop is you. So instead of the monies going from institution to institution, they go from institution to participant, and then the participant has 60 days to get those monies into TSP. If they miss that 60-day deadline, they will be subject to taxes on those monies, and if they're under the age of 59 and a half, possibly a penalty. So let's give you an example. Let's say prior to coming on board with the federal government, I worked for ABC Company, and I had a $10,000 401k with them. I decided to do an indirect rollover. 20% would be withheld for taxes. So I'm actually going to get a check for $8,000. I have 60 days to get that $8,000 into TSP to avoid any further taxes and possibly penalties. Or I can send in that $8,000 plus come up with $2,000 of my own so that there's no taxes on the entire $10,000. Okay? Does that make sense? So that's a way, as you can see, it's a little bit more complicated than just going from institution to institution. So definitely direct transfer is your best option. we don't have any uniformed service members here, so we can skip this. TSP Loans. This is how a loan works. You can log into your TSP account, set up a loan. You can give us a call, set up a loan. Payments will be directly reduced from your pay and sent into TSP every pay period. You also have the option, 2 options to pay the loan off faster. The first option is making additional payments. So at any point, at any time when you get a loan, this is for active employees only, you can send in a personal check, cashier's check, money order along with your loan coupon to pay that loan off faster. Or you can do what's called a re-amortization. Bless you. And a re-amortization is simply shortening either the time frame or increasing the amount that you pay so that you can pay that loan off faster. So let's say, for example, you get a loan, a 5-year loan out for $10,000, and it requires you to pay $32.43 every pay period for the next 5 years. With the re-amortization, you can say, you know what, I don't want to pay it back over 5 years. I want to pay it back over 3 years or 4 years or anything less. Or you can say, $32, well, I'll just increase it to an even $50. So anything that will pay the loan off faster is what you can do. And you can make that change as many times as you wish to do so simply by logging into your TSP account. Now, the reason this is important is because I'm going to tell you what all of this says. When you separate from service and you have an outstanding loan, you have 90 days from the time that you separate from service to settle that loan. So what will happen is, upon your separation, your agency will send us your separation code. Either it will be an S for separation or a P for public safety employee. Public safety employees are considered law enforcement, air traffic controller, firefighters, employees of Customs and Border Protection. So once we get that code, we will officially separate you in the system. You'll get a packet of information from us about your account. Inside that packet, if you have an outstanding loan, will be a letter titled Intent Not to Repay. And so you have a couple of options. You can say, well, my outstanding balance is $2,000. So I'm just going to send in a check for $2,000 to pay the loan off, and then I'll be good. It's option 1. Or you can say, I don't want to send $2,000. I'll send a check for $1,000, and I'll sign the letter for the other $1,000. That amount that you signed the letter for will be reported to the IRS as income, and you'll have to pay taxes on that when you get your 1099. Or you can just outright sign the letter and not pay the loan back at all. This is only required if you need to access your monies within that 90-day period. After that 90-day period, if you don't have any reason to access your monies after 90 days or before 90 days, if you don't sign the letter, we're going to automatically report that outstanding balance to the IRS. Okay? Does that make sense? So you got to wipe these loans off of your account within 90 days in order for you to take a withdrawal. Because as long as that money is still sitting, that loan is still sitting active on your account, you cannot take a withdrawal from your TSP account. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Age-based in-service withdrawals. Okay. Age-based in-service withdrawals. Once you have reached the age of 59 and a half and you are still actively employed, you are eligible to take 4 penalty-free withdrawals per year from your account. This is a result of the changes that came from the TSP Modernization Act. You can still continue contributing. The minimum is $1,000. The maximum is your entire vested account balance. You can transfer or roll those monies over elsewhere, or you can take them as a distribution and pay taxes on them if it's from traditional. If you're taking those withdrawals from Roth, you will not have any taxes to pay on the contributions that you've paid or made into the account. But you must have had the Roth for 5 years or longer to avoid having any taxes on the earnings. Okay? So that is age-based in-service withdrawals. This is a really great option because prior to the law change, you could only take one age-based withdrawal, ever. So now there's 4 opportunities per year. You with me?
Yep.
Okay, you're too quiet. Age-based withdrawal, how old do you have to be? How many are you allowed to do per year?
4.
What's the minimum? What's the maximum? Can you still keep contributing?
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. I can't read Foreign Service Officers' faces. Y'all.
Our questions.
Oh, I know, but there was no question. I just wanted to make sure. I need to see some. I need to see something like. Aren't you trained to go? Aren't you trained to do that? Okay, we're being taped. Here's another change that came along with the new rules. In order for you to take a withdrawal, you must have a user ID and password set up because there's no more forms. You got to log into TSP to take those withdrawals. All right? How many of you have logged into TSP? Those of you who did not raise your hand, I'm assuming it was because your hand is heavy.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. If you have any questions or any problems logging into your TSP account, call the number that I gave you earlier. Press the number 3. You can reset your password over the phone with them. If that's what you're going to do not hang up until you have logged out and logged back in without a problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Don't want to have you call back again saying that's not right. So this is what you're going to see while you're still active. You're going to see on the left-hand side, active participants, and if you are age 59 and a half or older, then you will see age-based in-service withdrawal in blue. That means that you can click on that and take an age-based withdrawal. If you are under the age of 59 and a half, the only thing you'll see in blue is financial hardship in-service withdrawal. Financial hardships do not work the same way as in-service withdrawal, the 59 and a half, because financial hardships, if you're under the age of 59 and a half, you'll take the withdrawal and there may be a 10% penalty on those monies that you withdraw. All right, no penalty on the 59 and a half. You with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll click on that. Then you're going to see the screen comes up and it's going to remind you again that you're entitled to 4 withdrawals per year. So you'll read all of that information. Then on this section here, you kind of have to fill it out, right? If you're married, we need your spouse's information. You're going to put in how much you want to withdraw. You're going to put in where you want to withdraw it from. That's another rule change, right? You have the option to choose whether you want to withdraw the monies from traditional TSP or Roth TSP or a combination of both. Okay? I'm sure the question will be, can we choose which fund to withdraw it from? Save your time getting up, going to the microphone. The answer is no. Not yet anyway. Okay? And then you'll review that information. And then once you review that information, you'll click continue. And if you are married, you will have to print the forms out because we will need your spouse's notarized signature. Okay? Every single time you make a withdrawal. Okay? All right, so here's the slide that shows you how you can take your monies out. Pro rata simply means that those monies are going to come out proportionally to the way that they are allocated in your account. So if you have 60% in traditional, 40% in Roth, and you get $1,000 out pro rata, $600 will come out of traditional, $400 will come out of Roth. Make sense? Thank you. I appreciate you. So if you are married, this is the screen that you're going to see that says you can't complete it online because we need some additional information. So you'll print the form. I'll show you what the printed form. You'll print the form, fax it back into us. You can either fax it or mail it. Try not to do both because the computer doesn't have emotions but apparently gets confused. when you fax and mail, so choose one, okay? All right, and once we receive it, takes about 7 to 10 business days to process your request, okay? Make sure before you separate from service, you review your quarterly statement or your annual statement, which will be coming to you next month. Make sure your address is up to date. If it's not, go into Employee Express, make a change. Make sure, above all, that your retirement coverage is correct. All right, make sure it correctly reflects what coverage, what plan you're under, and all of that should be done before you separate. If your retirement coverage is incorrect, that is a post-haste problem that needs to be sent to Ms. Brown.
Not me. I'm not.
See how frightening that is?
No, they know.
Yeah, they know.
They're HR people.
Go to your HR people. Okay? That's the official response.
From AFSA.
Okay. All right. You good? That's everything that you need to do before you separate.
Yep.
All right. Now you've separated. So now we want to take all of the monies that we have accumulated and turn it into the income that we need for retirement. All right? Do you have to take your money out right away?
No.
No. You can leave it sitting there, right? Do you have to take it out at all?
No.
No. On the count of 3, I want everybody to read what's in the parentheses. 1, 2, 3.
Leave it in, let it grow.
I think there's an AFSA choir in the making. That sounds pretty good. Leave it in, let it grow. Because if you take it all out, the only way to come back into TSP is by going to another website. Would you like the name of that?
No.
Some would. It's USA Jobs. Right? So if you don't want to go back through USA Jobs, you need to leave at least $200 in your TSP account. That will allow you to transfer monies back into the account if you want to, if you need to. Make sense? You still have access to all of the funds. You still have access to make withdrawals. You still have, you still get statements. No additional fees will be included in any of this. You're good to go. So let's say, for example, I separate from service and I decide to get a part-time job. And I get a part-time job at Michael's. I don't know why, that place gives me a headache. The fake flower smell, it's a lot. But I decide to wear nose plugs and go for it. And so I'm working at Michael's and I'm participating in their 401k plan that they have available. And I say, you know what? I'm done with the flowers. I'm going to go somewhere else. That 401k money, even though I have separated from service and retired from the federal government, that 401k money can be transferred into my TSP. Make sense? If I have an old IRA that I completely, totally forgot about, can be rolled or transferred into my TSP. Anything can be transferred into your TSP with the exception of a Roth IRA, an education IRA, a inherited IRA, and your spouse's IRA. Your spouse's nothing can come into your TSP account unless they go through that website. You know which one I'm talking about. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Any questions? Okay, let's move on.
Arvella, you have about 15 minutes.
I got 15 minutes. All right. No more jokes.
Aw.
Okay? So once you separate from service, you have 3 options to get your money out. You have partial withdrawals. That's taking a lump sum withdrawal. You have installment payments. That's getting a stream of income either on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, or an annual basis. And then you have the option to purchase an annuity with your TSP money. So let's take a look at that. If you wanted to take a partial withdrawal, you're more than welcome to do so, but you're limited to 1 partial withdrawal every 30 days. All right? So, and there's no limit to that. And you can also do partial withdrawals while getting a stream of income. So not only can you take the 4 withdrawals before you separate it if you're age 59 and a half or older, but now you can also take partial withdrawals when you separate. Prior to this, you could only do one or the other and only one time. All right? So again, you have the option of rolling those monies over or taking those monies as a distribution. The minimum is $1,000. So let's say, for example, you separate from service and you want to finally get everything off the honey-do list. That's going to be about $15,000. That's a partial withdrawal. A couple months later, your buddies call up and say, hey, you're retired. What about that fishing trip in Alaska? You honey, I gotta go. I did clear the honey-do list. And she says, okay, you can go. And so that's going to be about another $5,000 to whatever $1,000. That's another partial withdrawal. Does that make sense? So as long as 30 days has lapsed between the requests. And if you are married, you will need to get your spouse's signature on every partial withdrawal. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm the messenger at this point. So again, you've signed in to your TSP account. Once we receive your separation code, the active side goes gray. So you don't have an option on the active side. Once you've separated, your first request will be a withdrawal request for separated and beneficiary participants. This is where you will go for partial withdrawals and a stream of income and your annuities. All right? So if you want to take a partial withdrawal, this is a screen you'll see. You will select a single withdrawal. You can see here the withdrawal is irrevocable, but it's going to give you an opportunity to review before you actually push the continue button, the submit button. Make sense? Yep. All right, installment payments. You have the option of fixed dollar. Fixed dollar simply means you're telling us how much you want to get, and you're telling us how frequently you want to get it. I want to get $500 a quarter, $500 a month, $1,500 a year. Completely up to you. You can change it as many times as you want to, and the minimum is $25. You can transfer if those payments. I'm going to explain this to you on another slide. All right, don't panic. It's going to be all right, I promise. Based on life expectancy is the second option. Installment payments based on life expectancy means that we are going to calculate those payments for you using the single lifetime table that is provided by the IRS. All right? So it will be based upon your balance as of December 31st and your age. Okay? And so at that time, it may automatically adjust on an annual basis because, of course, it's going to depend upon how many times you've taken withdrawal, if there has been any type of gains or losses with the way you have it invested. So that could cause some adjustments. If you make a change to the amount that has been calculated for life expectancy, you have then converted over to fixed dollar. And once you have done that, you cannot come back to life expectancy. Okay? Make sense? You're supposed to say no, but that's the rule. So if you start fixed dollar, you cannot go to life expectancy. All right? I know. It's going to be all right. So you're going to click installment payments, and then you're going to click installment payments. When you do fixed dollar, it's going to ask you fixed dollar installment or life expectancy. This is a table that has an example of what the life expectancy is. So this is from the IRS. We just made it look pretty. So if you separate from service at age 65 and your account balance is $500,000, then you're going to take that $500,000 and divide it by 21, and that's going to give you the annual amount, right, when you do life expectancy. And then if you decide to do that on a monthly basis, then you'll take that annual amount divided by 12 or divided by 4 for a quarterly basis. Does that make sense? Yep. All right, so that is life expectancy, and that's how you can do annual, monthly, quarterly. Okay? All right, so here we have the screen. When you log in, it's going to show you how much you have in your account balance and where you have those monies. So in this example, this person has a balance in traditional and Roth. It's then going to ask you, thank you. It's then going to ask you how much you want to get if it's fixed dollar. Remember, the minimum you can get for fixed dollar is how much? $25. Or you can do life expectancy. If you start with life expectancy and you make a change to the amount, what happens? It goes to fixed dollar. Can you then go back to life expectancy? No. Then you'll have the option to choose monthly, quarterly, or annually. And then you'll have the option to choose where you want your monies to come from first. Pro rata, traditional, or Roth. Similar to the way that you did the partial withdrawals when you were working. Make sense?
Yep.
All right.
Can you just confirm that if you do life expectancy, it's like a standard annuity? So if you die like in the first year, even though there's a balance, the amount that you can earmark for the annuity is...
I'm gonna answer your question shortly. We're gonna
Okay.
hold questions because I need you to come to the microphone for everyone to hear. So don't forget it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And then if you're married, you'll need to complete this. All right. Pro rata, we talked about that. Calculator. Let's say, for example, you're doing monthly payments and you want to make a change. We have a calculator out there that will allow you to put in that information so that you can see how it will affect your account balance, taxes, etc. Okay? This is what it's going to look like. This is the difference between fixed dollar and life expectancy. All right? So this person says at age 60, I want to get $1,500 a month based on their account balance, which is around $268,000. That means that their account balance will run out at age 85. If they do life expectancy, their account balance will run out at age 95. But as you can see, there's a dip here. Because they started before age 70, once they get to 70, that's time for your required minimum distributions. And because of the Secure Act, this will be the last year for age 70 and a half. It will then go up to 72. Information is forthcoming. But that drops because we have to switch tables. And at that time, that person can say, I want to switch over to fixed dollar because that's not enough. Or they can stay where they are if they're happy with what that calculates to be. Okay? All right. This is what I was talking about. We talked about lump sum distributions, right? We talked about single payments, age-based, partial withdrawals. You're also allowed to take out a lump sum of money at the end or while you're having installment payments. You're allowed to cash that out. If you're getting installment payments that last less than 10 years, meaning that it runs out before that 10-year period, then every payment that you get, you're eligible to transfer or roll those monies over. If you get those monies as cash, 20% will be withheld. However, if you do life expectancy or if you do fixed dollar that causes your balance to last longer than 10 years, then you can tell us how you want taxes withheld. The default is married with 3 dependents, but you can do anything from changing that to actually waiving having taxes withheld and deal with the taxes when you receive your 1099. Okay? Gives you a little bit more options. Annuity. At this time, we contract MetLife as our annuity provider. This is just an option. Keep in mind that you also have your pension, but this is an irrevocable option. So what you're doing is you're taking all or a portion of your TSP account to purchase this annuity. And once you do that, you cannot come back with that money into TSP. All right, so there's 3 types of annuities: single life, joint life with a spouse, joint life with other survivor. The survivor benefit works completely different than any survivor benefit you've had. Okay, so if you choose to get a 50% survivor benefit and your annuity is $1,000 and you die, that means your spouse is going to get $500 a month, right? Yeah. The way that this works, if your spouse dies, then your payment drops 50% as well. Okay? So keep that in mind if this is an option for you. Level payments across the board. Increasing payments simply means that there's a COLA attached to it. That COLA is never more than 3%, and that COLA is not guaranteed. So sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you'll get less, sometimes you won't get anything at all. Cash refund, that simply means that if you die before all of the cash that you used to purchase the annuity, then your survivor will get a check for the difference. If you live past the amount that you used to purchase the annuity, there's nothing available to your survivor, but the insurance company will continue paying you. With single life, there's the only option that has a 10-year certain. That means you're going to get guaranteed income for 10 years. If you pass before that 10-year period is up, then your survivor will get the payments to fulfill that 10-year commitment. If you live past the 10 years, nothing available to your survivor, insurance company will keep paying you. Okay? All right, and then you'll just go to the website, click annuity. This is an example of someone who wants to do all three at the same time. All right, so they did an option so that they could purchase an annuity for $5,000. They wanted $2,000 out for cash, and they're getting $300 a month out. All right, so this is if you want to do everything at the same time, and then you'll get an opportunity to review. If you are married, you will have to print out these 3 forms to get your spouse's signature, and then you'll be able to, your spouse's notarized signature, send it in to us, and we'll process that for you within 7 to 10 business days. Required minimum distributions, again, this is good. The age is going to change. The process is not going to change. All right, so 70 and a half is what it is currently. You must take that once you've separated from service. If you're still actively employed, you do not have to touch your required minimum distribution. And so what we do is we will send you your first required minimum distribution in March once you've separated, and then you have to take your RMD by December every year thereafter. Okay, this is the table that is used to calculate required minimum distribution, similar to the single life table, exactly like the single life table, except different ages, right? $500,000 at the age of 70 divided by 27.4, that's going to tell you what you need to take out for the year. Here's the thing. Please, please, please make sure your address is up to date, and if you are getting, make sure your address is up to date. Here's how the required minimum distributions will work. If you do nothing at all, we're going to send you a hard check. If you are no longer at that address and that check goes uncashed, you will be subject to a penalty for not taking your required minimum distribution. How much is that penalty? No. 50%. Yes. 50%. 50% of the account balance. Is that going to change?
Not the account balance, the check.
The check. That's what I meant. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. She scared me. Was she a foreign service officer? You mean business. All right. She's exactly right. 50% of the amount that you're supposed to get out will be penalized if you don't take that required minimum distribution or cash that check. All right? So let's say, for example, you're setting yourself up on a stream of income. You're getting $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year, but your RMD is $500. That means that in December, we're going to send you the 13th check for $3,800, hard copy. So again, you got to make sure that address is up to date. Once you separate from service, you can log into your TSP account or give us a call and change that address however many times you need to. Okay? All right. No penalty at 59 and a half. No penalty if you separate from service at age 55 or older. No penalty if you're age 50 and considered a public safety employee. Like I said, law enforcement, air traffic controller, firefighter. All the other stuff is on the slide. I'll let you read that, okay? Withdrawals. Again, we need your spouse's notarized signature. If for whatever reason you don't know where your spouse is, please...
I respect your saying that.
Thank you. I gotta say it, because people lose them. Okay. So if you don't know where they are, please complete TSP 16 when you need to take a withdrawal, letting us know you don't know where they are and you really, really look for them. And we have high expectations for foreign service officers. No, I'm kidding. Okay. This is just showing you how to transfer money out. Traditional TSP can go to traditional IRA or Roth IRA. If it goes to a Roth IRA, you will have to pay taxes, or it can go to a traditional employer plan for one of the fours. Roth can go to Roth IRA or a Roth employer sponsored plan, or the money can come to you and you have 60 days to get it transferred out. I want you to read these questions. Those of you who are planning to retire or who are talking to someone else who wants you to transfer your monies to them, read these questions, ask these questions. This is on our website so that you can get an idea of what their fees and their charges are so that you do not jump out prematurely. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Death benefits, bottom line, if you don't know who your beneficiary is and you don't remember who they are, change your beneficiary. Anytime you want to, you can go online, log in, select beneficiaries, make a change as many times as you want to. We make a lot of ex-spouses happy every year. All right, especially those ones that were hiding. All right? If you're married, your spouse will get a TSP account in a life cycle fund. They'll have the same options as you have. They just won't be able to transfer any monies into the account. They'll need to do a TSP3. Required minimum distributions, they're still going to have to take that, but it's going to be calculated differently. The amount will be based on the age of the beneficiary, but it will be sent out based upon the age of the deceased TSP participant. If you don't have a spouse, they have two options. They can take a withdrawal or they can transfer it to an inherited IRA. We don't have any information on inherited IRAs. You'll have to get that elsewhere. Bottom line, divorce. If your TSP is not in the divorce decree, they don't get anything. Okay? It has to be in the divorce decree. If it's not in the divorce decree, just keep moving. Don't ask nobody nothing. Just keep walking. Okay? Help your transition go smoothly. If you have a loan on the books, how many days do you have to terminate that loan? 90 days. If you are still active, how old must you be to take a penalty-free withdrawal? 59 and a half. And how many can you take each year? 4. And the minimum is? When you separate from service and you want to take a withdrawal, how often can you take it? Every 30 days, exactly. Can you take withdrawals while you're getting a stream of income? Yes. Yes, you can. More ways to run out of money faster, so please be careful. All right? Be very mindful of that. All right? We need your spouse's notarized signature. This is a snapshot of our website. This is what I want you to see that's most important. We also have this information on YouTube. Our handle is TSP4Gov, so you can watch videos on this information as well. But the most important thing for you, the withdrawing from your TSP for separated participants. That booklet is going to give you all the information you need. And my favorite piece of information, TSP-536. That's the tax information booklet. It's going to show you the tax consequences for every reason to take a withdrawal. Okay? And this is our survey. The only thing you need to know about the survey is that I'm very sensitive. Any questions?
All right, I would really love for all of us to give Miss Arvella Collins a hand for her knowledge, energy, and entertainment value.
Yes, thank you very much, and I appreciate that you had to hurry towards the end. So I am a retiree, and I'm 70 and a half, and I am single, never married, so therefore my designation of beneficiaries are non-spouse. And you went over your slide that in the presentation was slide number 59 and 60. So I just want to ask you, to clarify that if you've submitted a beneficiary form for brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, best friends, whatever, and someone upon death sends or contacts TSP to say, June is dead now, where does that money go while the beneficiaries are doing their bit?
Okay, so the money stays in your account and it will continue to accumulate or fluctuate according to how you have it invested. Nothing happens to that money until we receive form TSP
Whatever, it's okay.
whatever, yes. 17, TSP 17, notifying us with your certified death certificate. At that time, when we get that information, we'll take everything out of the market and put it into the G fund for the beneficiaries to come and claim those monies.
So unlike the spouse slide that goes to some L fund, the non-spouses
We'll go to the G
pot
fund.
goes
Yes.
to the G fund.
And then they have the option to take all of the money out or to transfer it to an inherited IRA.
Within the TSP.
No, outside of the TSP.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the inherited IRA is something that you'll have to get outside.
So that's another distinction with the spouse. The spouse can keep it in
Yes.
TSP, but the non-spouse beneficiaries either withdraw it or shift it.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And just to piggyback on that, once the spouse dies, then that beneficiary of the spouse cannot keep the money in TSP either. That money has to either come out as a withdrawal or be transferred to an inherited IRA.
They're more of a single with non-spouses. It's a growing demographic.
Honey, I know I'm a part of it. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you for a very informative presentation.
You're welcome.
I'd like to ask you, I have some other IRAs that I use to make a charitable contribution, so that money goes out directly. I don't report it on taxes. Is this a possibility from the TSP? I think it's called a qualified charitable
Yes.
distribution, where the funds are paid
Yes.
directly.
I am reading the emails through my brain, and I know we have some guidance on it. I don't think you can do that with your TSP. I think only with your IRAs. I'm not 100% sure, but if you call the thrift line, they'll have that information right in front of them. They can answer that question for you.
Okay, if I may, I'd like to ask a second
Sure.
question. I have some other Roth IRAs.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have a Roth account in the TSP. I only have a regular. Can I start a Roth account in the TSP with these other Roth IRA funds?
No. Per IRS rule, you cannot transfer Roth IRA money into a Roth employer-sponsored plan like the TSP. So they have to remain separate. However, just really quickly, if you have the Roth IRA and you have a Roth TSP, then keep in mind that even though Roth IRA money cannot come in, your Roth TSP money can be transferred to your Roth IRA. The biggest difference is because a Roth IRA is the only one that does not have the required minimum distribution. So you don't have to touch the money at age 70 and a half or 72. So if there's Roth money in your TSP that you don't want to touch, transfer it to your Roth IRA. That's an option.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. I have a question about turning 50.
Yes.
So you said that it's starting at the calendar year. So if I turn 50 this year, does that mean I start now in January or I start on my date of
You can
birth?
start in January. You can start January of the year you turn age 50.
Just to reconfirm the question I had before, and
Yes.
that life expectancy is a withdrawal based on IRS tables, life
Correct.
expectancy tables, and therefore it is not like an annuity.
It is not.
It is, and you can run out. However, your annuity looks like a traditional annuity,
It is.
except for the first 10 years. they have a basis for calculating what type of residual amount is in there. In other words, you said for the first 10 years, if there's something left, many annuities
No,
like.
no. That's not what I was saying. I was saying that for participants who want to purchase a single life annuity, an annuity based on one life, they have the option of purchasing a 10-year certain annuity. So that means that that annuity is guaranteed to give them income for 10 years. That's the only option that is available to participants.
I see, so that would protect the benefit for a survivor within that 10 years.
Correct.
I see, okay.
But if they die, let's say I get the 10-year, I'm single and I want to make sure I get guaranteed income for 10 years, but I die after 7 years, then my survivor can receive those payments
For
the
3
remaining
years.
3 years.
Right, and you're paying an extra fee for that. That's an extra option.
That you likely are, but unfortunately we don't have the cost or the
Right,
fees for
right,
that
but in
option.
other words, it's an option. You could get even a higher annuity payment by not selecting that.
Exactly.
I see,
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Do you have anything like in those annuities, now variable annuities and fixed index are very popular, fixed index particularly because it shields it in down years. Many of us are concerned. I did my own TSP some time ago, but I'm doing my wife's now, and we're concerned about after a 10-year bull market, it's going to go down.
Correct.
And TSP is still the best place to grow your funds because
Right.
the fees are so low. But when the market goes down, you're going to go down with it.
Correct.
And so what I'm wondering is for that annuity option, is there any type of shield or fixed indexed annuity offered by MetLife so you can enjoy some of the market increases in good years, but you're shielded from bad years?
That's a great question, and I don't think there is because it is only designed to give a stream of income. So there's no other additions to it, like a variable annuity or something that has a floor of like 3%. It will never go below 3% or something like that. So we don't have that unless you choose the COLA option. But again, as I stated, the COLA, which is the adding that rider to it, it's not guaranteed. So even though you may purchase it, some years you may get 3%, some years you may get less, some years you may get nothing at all.
And I just want to thank you again for an awesome presentation. As a person who made the mistake of thinking, oh, I'm retiring, so I have to close out my TSP, which you don't. And I'm sure Dolores feels this way, having also been a retiree counselor here at AFSA. The bane of our existence is people who just assume that they have to take it out. And they're being advised by someone who's going to make a lot of money, and the single best benefit of being an AFSA is you can contact Dolores.
Yes.
And talk with someone who has no financial incentive to tell you to do something. That's not to say that it's not a great decision sometimes to move it into an IRA,
Right.
but there is that financial incentive that has to be factored in. And that's why if everyone here can just let everyone you don't have to pull out of TSP. You can stay in there until you're ready to make the right decision.
Correct. Thank you so much.
Could you also ask something about if you're taking life expectancy payments, does your spouse get, what happens when
Do we want to repeat that question?
Right, just if you're taking life expectancy payments, is there also then a benefit that continues for your spouse?
Okay, so actually, it won't continue because remember, life expectancy, stream of income, that means that all of those monies are remaining in your TSP account. So upon your death, your spouse will get their own TSP
Right.
account and then they can
It's not the payment,
select
they
life
just
expectancy.
are able to inherit the whole TSP account, whatever's left in there.
Whatever's left in there, and then they can choose life expectancy if they want.
Great, again, dynamite presentation.
Thank you.
Hi,
Hi.
I hope I have a pretty quick question. Is there a way in a 2 TSP family that you're both not going and getting notarized documents with your spouses every month to take out money?
That's our most popular question. Not yet.
Can you change the monthly amount each month online if you set it like
Yes.
monthly? So could you get around it that way by just going and changing your monthly amount each
No,
month?
as soon as you change your monthly amount, you're gonna need your spouse's signature.
Oh, so it's not, so even if you set up monthly payments, a change in
Well,
that
here's the
triggers
deal,
it.
here's the deal. Once you set up a stream of income,
Right.
you only need your spouse's signature at one time, unless you make a change to that stream of income.
So if you're trying to make it a 3% withdrawal based on the market and change it each month, you're gonna have to get your spouse to sign off each month. So
Yes.
you've got 2 notarizations each
Yes,
month. Okay.
yes.
And, okay. I
Well,
wasn't
one
making sure I understood.
notarization,
Well, if you have 2 spouses using 2 TSPs.
oh yeah, two, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And again, that's the stream of income. So if you do a partial withdrawal,
It's the same thing.
it's the same thing, so you could have 4 that month.
Okay, good to know. One other quick question. When the required minimum distributions come out, I assume that TSP is not checking to see if you have some sort of monthly payment coming out, and you need to adjust that if you want to keep your total amount the same.
So remember I was talking about that check
Uh-huh.
that you get in December?
Mhm.
So in essence, we're not gonna make any changes to what you've requested as far as the stream of income. And again, if you do nothing,
Mhm.
we're just gonna make sure you get the difference, but you will be notified that this is how much you need to take out.
So
for
then
the
you
year.
need to adjust your stream of income to make it be the total you want it to be.
Yeah, you don't need to,
Uh-huh.
you can.
But you could end up with a lot more than you had planned if you don't.
No, you will never go above, if you're on a stream of income, you will never receive any more than what your required minimum distribution is
Right.
unless you request it.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
So let's say, again, my required minimum distribution is $8,000, but I'm set up to get $3,000 of income.
Mm-hmm.
In December, TSP is going to send me a check for $5,000.
That's what I wanted to know. Okay, so
Yes.
TSP is paying attention to how much I've already taken.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I misheard you. I hope we got it. We just got to talk about it.
Okay, thanks for your presentation. I'll keep my question real short. If you separate from government before the age of 55, and even if you want to leave most of your stuff in TSP, if you want to make a one-time withdrawal, you can't do it until you're 55.
Okay, so that's a good question. If you separate from service before the age of 55 to avoid any penalties, you'll have to wait till 59 and a half.
I thought it was 55 in your slide.
55 is only if you're separating.
If you're separated.
Yes, if you're separated, if this year I turn 55
Uh-huh.
and I'm separating from service, I don't have to wait until 59 and a half.
Okay,
That's an exception to the 59 and a half rule.
okay.
But if I separate from service at age 54, that's not an exception. That means I have to wait till 59 and a half.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Two short
And
things.
essentially, that's the penalty. Yeah, that's the 10% penalty. Yes, ma'am.
Two short things. Are you planning to move to accepting online these forms? Because scanning it in and sending it in online is certainly much easier than trying to fax it.
Well, we are looking into that, and you can always mail us the form as well.
Which is
If you are single, you don't have to print the form. You just click submit, and it'll come through.
And then I have zero recollection of receiving anything from TSP when I retired. So how do I find out what I was supposed to get?
When did you retire?
2018.
Golly gee darn.
Uh-uh.
It comes in a packet.
Nope.
It's a nondescript packet. It's not gonna say TSP on it. It's gonna have I think it's supposed to be an eagle. But what you can do is you can call the thrift line and have them email you. You should be okay. You should be all right because it's been over a year, so you should be all right. But you can definitely give the thrift line a call. They'll send you a statement of everything in your account. You're welcome. Thanks for letting me know that. You said you were done. What are you doing?
I just thought to confirm something I think you said.
Yes, sir.
I have a standard thrift savings plan. It's not a Roth, it's just a standard one.
Mhm.
I've also got some standard IRAs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from what you said, chances of 40 cents per thousand on the thrift, $4 on the standard
Could be.
ones.
You have to check that out.
Right,
So those.
Right, roughly.
Right.
But those
Traditional
traditional
or
ones
stand.
can be folded in to the
Yes.
thrift, so then I'll pay less for them.
Yes. And here's the thing, because I didn't have enough time. This is what the IRS says. If you have multiple accounts, let's say you have your TSP account, you might have an old 401k, and you have about 3 IRAs. The IRAs, when you reach 70 and a half or older, the IRAs can be aggregated for that R&D. The others cannot. So if you have an old 401k and you have your TSP and you turn age 70 and a half, you're going to have to take R&Ds from both of those accounts. So that's another reason why you would want to consider consolidating all of those monies, because at that point you're only dealing with one financial institution.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Real quick follow-up.
Sure.
Real quick follow-up, and this is on Roth. If you have a mixed account, like many people do, a Roth and a traditional within TSP, can you, without transferring anything out, can you start paying tax on a portion of the non-Roth amount? So you're basically transferring within TSP to Roth? So basically, if you want to...
That's called a
recharacterization.
conversion.
A conversion.
Yeah, we don't allow conversion.
You can't convert within TSP. So if you want to get the traditional to a Roth and pay tax on it now, you have to transfer it out into another instrument. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I was not going to ask a question
I know,
until
but
I
it
heard
seems
this
so
comment.
exciting, right?
I'm a huge fan of combining the like accounts from an outside traditional IRA to the TSP.
Right.
Because what that allowed me to do is to bring the traditional IRA balance to zero without paying taxes, since they're like accounts, and then institute a backdoor Roth conversion on the outside TSP. So that's another benefit of getting rid of the traditional IRA, dumping into TSP like account, and then do the backdoor Roth conversion, which we can now, with the new tax law, take advantage of.
Excellent.
So,
Very good. Thank you for that information. Can you stay after for questions? Hello.
Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
That's all. Question, if you're planning to retire at 60, 61, let's say, and you're thinking about taking a lump sum out for something, does it make a difference if you take your lump sum at 59 and a half to 60 while you're working versus waiting till you retire and taking out your monthly allowed withdrawal?
Does make a difference, because if it's coming out of traditional TSP, that means you're going to have to pay taxes on it. Always remember that this money is taxable. You spent your entire career not paying taxes on it, so the IRS wants their money, right? And so it's always taxed as ordinary income, not earned income, so there's no Social Security or anything, just ordinary income. So let's say, for example, I turned 59 and a half this year. My income is $75,000, and I want to take out $15,000 because I'm now 59 and a half with no penalty. I'm going to be taxed as if I made $90,000 that year. So that could put me in a higher tax bracket than what I'm normally in. And so I always recommend that people give that some consideration. Most people separate from service at the end of the year. And so wait until that January to make that withdrawal, because then you'll be in a new year and you'll be in a lower tax bracket. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Are you sure? Because that didn't sound very enthusiastic.
It's because you'd be probably in a lower tax bracket.
Correct.
When you retire.
When you retire. And that's theoretically how it works, right? So traditional says that you don't pay any taxes when you put it in, but when you take it out, the contributions and the earnings are taxed as ordinary income. Okay? And again, that's another thing you want to consider is when you reach age 59 and a half. Yes, you're allowed to take 4 age-based withdrawals out per year, but if it's coming from traditional, that's an opportunity for your income to go up a little higher as well, especially if you're not monitoring how much you're taking out.
Thank you.
Thank you. You smiled when you came up. You frowned when you sat
Arvella,
down.
we really are lively, Arvella, right?
Yes,
Right?
yes,
Okay.
you are.
Well, let's
Just need
thank-
to give you a minute.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We all enjoyed
Thank
meeting
you.
you.